What is up, creative agents of change, fellow architects of the future, fellow purpose-led entrepreneurs? Now, I have a confession to make. It's been about a week and a half since I've made my last video. And in this period, I've had all sorts of things fall apart, including my own confidence. I started questioning myself as to whether what I'm doing is really aligned with what I really want to do. You see, the issue is that, for a long time, I've been struggling with the idea of launching my online course because ultimately, on some level, I still believe that I'm not worthy enough. I still believe that I don't have the goods. I still believe that, I don't deserve to have all the life and vision and success that I want for myself. And as a result, that's kept me back. And that plays out with all sorts of little voices that come up in your head saying, you're not good enough, maybe this isn't for you, maybe the reason why you're feeling down. And that's usually how it pops up, by the way. Sometimes you just feel a drop in your energy, you feel a little bit depressed, a little bit of anxious, and you start to wonder, like I do, if you have any level of depth and sensitivity, you wonder, why is this happening to me? And in those moments, sometimes I give in to that little voice in my head saying, maybe this isn't for you. Maybe you're not doing the right thing. Maybe you should, postpone this until you have XYZ things in order, right? And, what that does is it constantly puts you in this state of, comfort. And that's what that voice in your head is designed really to do, right? It's designed to keep you comfortable in the level that you're currently at. So it'll invent all kinds of excuses of why you're not good, you're not ready, you're not worthy, that, now is not the time for you to launch. So, in this week, I've been struggling with myself. And while I've been struggling, I have life working for me, right? Because before, I used to think that struggle is a bad thing. And still, when I'm in the midst of it, I still doubt myself. I still think, oh my God, why is this happening? And I sometimes don't see the wood from the trees. I'll give you an example. On Saturday, I lost my phone. On early this week, not having a phone, I had to make some bills, or I had to pay some bills online with my online banking system, and my token card, died out. So I had to go take a trip to the bank. I came back without a phone and realized that my token isn't properly working or synchronized. I missed some payments. I ended up having some penalties. So all these things happen when you're about to step into your next level of growth. It's called a terror barrier, right? And when you're in this terror barrier, all sorts of things seem to go awry, all sorts of things seem to fall apart, and it's almost as if the world around you is justifying why you can't move on to the next level. But you have to realize that this is just your ego, it's just your pride, it's just yourself, that little voice in your head, because it's a little one, even though it shouts the loudest, right? Because there's two voices in your head. There's the little one that says you're not good enough, and there's the big one that says you're worthy and you've been put on this planet for a reason, and you have everything going for yourself, and you in your heart what you came here to do, and you should go after and do it. The problem is the small voice shouts the loudest. The big voice whispers to you. And so, I had all these things happen to me, and as a result, I basically took a week and a half out. And it was for good reason because, like I said, before I used to doubt how life can work for me. Now I know in my heart, instinctually, that life always works for us. And the reason why I had to go through this period is also for me to resolve some little stuck cronies and notches of doubt that I have still left in myself, and to iron through and solidify the lessons that I know I've learned, and now it's time to put into practice. And the biggest lesson of all is, there's never a good time. If you want to go out and get what you're worth, if you want to go out and live the life that you're worthy and capable of, and bring about a huge impact and a change to many, many people's lives, then it's never going to feel comfortable. It's always going to feel difficult because you're always pushing past that pain barrier constantly. And while you're doing that, things are always going to fall apart. And how I know that life is working for me, right? And this is a great tip for you to know, right? Because life does not always look rosy and perky, right? Sometimes life calls to you when things are falling apart to let you know that, now it's time for you to really double down. And in my case, I realized that I was really frustrated, by sitting out and not doing anything for a week. Even though I had worked things out in my mind, I already knew what I wanted, I was still waiting on the sidelines. And while I was waiting, I started, having a feeling, a growing feeling of frustration and anxiety, right? Because I wasn't focused on my purpose and my goal, and because I wasn't working towards my purpose and my goal, then my mind was free to look at all the things around me that I know is not working and I know I don't feel comfortable with, the things that I really want to change. And so that made me even more anguished, that made me even more anxious, that made me even more depressed. And here's where life really works for you, and here's where I want you to pay real attention to life, right? When I started feeling aggravated and acting that out on my wife and on my kid, that's when I knew that it was finally time for me to get back on my focus, get back on my purpose, and start moving forward. And that's what I did these last couple of days. I got myself back into my habits, my anchor habits, which is gym, meditation, and that's where it all started off from. And slowly, I started feeling back on game, back energized, and back on my focus. And today, I feel almost as if I'm 60 to 70% recovered to where I was 2 weeks ago, right before this whole process started. So here are a couple of takeaways out of this. Number one is, know that as you're growing, as you're pushing yourself towards a new level of life that you've never experienced before, you're gonna go through the terror barriers. You're gonna go through stages where that little voice in your head is screaming at you that things are not working. You're not gonna feel well. You're gonna feel tired because it's tiring to push past your boundaries and barriers. And that tiredness can sometimes be mistaken as, maybe this isn't right for me. Why am I doing this? Is this the right thing to actually do? And the second thing to notice is that, and to know always, is life always works in your favor. So if that happens, there is some kind of adjustment for you to make. There is something that you can optimize. In my case, I was too obsessed about the micro details of my process, of my sales process, rather than working on the things I know that I had outsourced, automated, delegated everything else towards, which is creating these kind of meaningful videos and meaningful content. And so my time was spent towards things that don't really serve my energy, that don't really reflect who I really am, and are not aligned 100% with where I'm at right now. So that's why I had to take this break. So life always works for you. There was a reason why I felt this way. And number three is, look at the signs around you when you're off balance, when you're unintegrated, when you're not aligned with your goals. And those are usually the way you treat the people around you, how your energy levels feel, how things around you seem to be moving. But in most cases, it's usually your relationships, right? If you start acting in ways that distress the people around you, the people you care about, when you start acting out of integrity towards those meaningful relationships that you have, that is a surefire sign way that you're not acting according to your highest purpose and your highest good, because your energy is depleted. And because your energy is depleted, you're looking to compensate and to get that energy from the loved ones that you have. So remember those three things, and remember life always works in your favor. Remember to always push past your barriers, your terror barriers, and always keep moving forward. Don't leave room for doubt, and even if it does come, make sure that that doubt is utilized and understood in the context of what you can rearrange and change, what you can optimize, and enjoy that ride, my friends. I hope you enjoyed this video. If anything about what I said has resonated, if you're going through a terror barrier yourself, if you feel depleted, anxious, your relationships are starting to be affected as a result, then maybe it's time for you to have a look around what's not working for you and to focus only on what is working. That's my son right there. I'm gonna go play with him in a second. So I hope you enjoyed this video. As always, make sure you share, because there's probably someone in your life right now that could use this information. And I'd love to hear from you in the comment section if any of this resonated with you and how you're gonna apply it into your life. So with that, my friends, I'm gonna leave you guys. Peace out, and I'm going to see you in my next video.